Mock draft season is upon us, and we've seen a bunch about all these different guys. We've seen the combine, some pro days are rolling out, and we've gathered a lot of information. And I've also broken down so much film that I really feel like I actually know these guys, especially at quarterback, some of the receivers, and these other positions are starting to roll in too. Now look, I've been hit up by scouts, guys in the pro personnel departments of teams, and even former coaches. We've talked a lot of ball, talked about some of these players, what they see, what I see, exchange notes, and it's been really cool to see in this next draft cycle what guys think of people, and also it's been cool to see what people think of my work. So with that, we're going to take everything we've learned up to this point in time and give it my best shot at my 1.0 mock draft. We know teams' needs. We kind of have an idea of where players are being ranked. And now it's just going to be about where do the dominoes fall. I'm going to go through a mock draft simulator. We're not going to do any trades. And I'm just going to say based on need where I think guys are going to go with their value at the specific spot taken into account. And now look, I would not be shocked to see trades happen on draft night, especially in the first round. But for this exercise, we're going to go through 1 through 32, no trades. See where the cards lie. Let's get into it. Alrighty, it's time to get into this. We're talking number 1 overall pick. And we got in, if you follow my Twitter, at around -100, -125 on Cam Ward. Started talking to him early too, +200, +300, but we really solidified him being number 1 overall pick at that -125 spot. The odds are now -700, meaning he is extremely likely to go number 1 overall. The only question is, do the Titans trade out of that pick to someone like the Giants, maybe someone like the Browns? I don't know, but I think he's going to go number 1 overall to the Titans because I don't think you can pass up on a guy like this. When you watch his film, he has the entire package. He's an X factor. He's extremely accurate. He is sturdy in the pocket. He can scramble. He can shrug people off. He can make any throw on the field from a tight box, and he can change the trajectory on every single throw. You see the scouting report. You can go watch my earlier videos on him, but Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick. I think if you redrafted him in last year's draft class, I think he would have been one step underneath of Jaden Daniels, and I think he's actually better than Caleb Williams. So give me Cam Ward, number 1 overall. Now, Cleveland Browns. If I'm building it from the ground up, I'm taking Abdul Carter because I think Abdul Carter will be, in my opinion, a top 5 D end in the league. Now, if you match Abdul Carter on a rookie contract with Myles Garrett on a massive contract, you now create problems across the league whenever you line up and you can get pressure with 4 down linemen. I think it's incredibly important in the NFL, especially with defense, to have a defensive line that can create pressure without having to bring extra backers. I think Abdul Carter going number 2 here to the Browns is actually the pick of the draft. I think it's incredible for them to get him, and I think that they need to take him here. I know people want to talk about quarterbacks, running backs, receiver, all this and that. No, give me Abdul Carter as the edge, and now you're looking like you have a Philadelphia Eagles defensive line on steroids. When you have 2 edge rushers that can go mano-a-mano across the board, you're not going to be able to double both of them, can't chip both of them, can't slide to both of them. That's going to be a problem. And in the AFC North, D-line, that could win you some games. So give me Abdul Carter. They're going to get the rest of them in the next 2 to 3 rounds that will bolster up their team. Now, number 3, a lot of people here have Shedeur Sanders going number 3 overall. If I'm the Giants, I'm not taking him there. I'm taking the best player on the board, and I'm taking Travis Hunter to go to the New York Giants because he can play both ways. One, you match Travis Hunter with Malik Neighbors on offense on critical downs, that's a problem for defenses. Now, you put Travis Hunter on a defense that's already pretty solid. They played pretty well last year. The year prior to that, they played pretty well too. They don't have a defensive problem. I think Travis Hunter is the best player on the board, and in my drafting situation, I'm taking best player on the board over a need any day of the week because I think needs can be filled later in the draft and in free agency and through trade. So if you always take the best available, you're always maximizing your draft potential. Maybe you trade out of it, whatever, get more picks, but I'm taking Travis Hunter number 3 to the New York Giants. And now I'm looking at the Patriots. The Patriots need some help. And when I'm looking at the Patriots, I think they need help at a lot of different places. They need O-line help. They need running back help. They need receiver help. And I really do like what I'm seeing out of a McMillan. So McMillan, number 3rd rank on PFF. These have changed since then, but average draft position from all these different drafts, they're saying he's average draft position of 9. What is going to bring them the most amount of juice? So you look at McMillan, and when you look at his breakdown, look, 84 overall grade, 85 overall grade, 1,300 yards, yards per reception, 15.5 touchdowns. Like, he had a pretty good year relative to last year. A little bit of a drop off, but nothing crazy. Played 1 less game. He's consistent. And when you look at him, dude, I'm telling you, look at his draft profile. 6'5", 212. He's sudden. He can run all the routes. He's smooth. He's got a quick release. I really like McMillan. You can look at his tape on YouTube somewhere. I didn't break him down fully, but I've watched a decent bit of his tape. He's a guy, in my opinion, that is the 2nd best receiver in the draft outside of Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter is still a better receiver, but I think McMillan, when you're the Patriots at this number 4 spot, you need to get a big body target for Drake May. You need more size. When you play in the AFC East, especially in that northern part of it, you're playing in New England, you need size in cold weather games. I think McMillan could be a guy that really gels well with Drake May over the course of his career. I also love that you have Drake May on a 5-year contract as a rookie, and you have McMillan who will be on a 5-year contract with a first-round pick. Give me McMillan number 4 overall to the Patriots. I don't think it's a bad pick. Now, the Jaguars, you need help. You need help everywhere, and you need help on defense. And I think Mason Graham, for me, is this guy that's going to be able to come in and be a game wrecker at the D-line spot. Interior D-line too. You can see PFF has their needs, interior D-line. They have wide receiver needs, tight end needs, whatever. I think they're fine on offense, to be honest. They're okay. They need help on defense to get pressure on guys that they play twice a year, like CJ Stroud. You also have to deal with whatever the hell is going to happen in Indianapolis. You know they're going to be running the ball in Indianapolis. And then you have the Titans, who honestly weren't terrible on offense outside of Will Levis. They weren't great, but Will Levis gave games away. Bolster up your defense. You're going to need it because you had one of the worst defenses in the league last year, and you can't get enough secondary help to help guys that aren't getting pressure. Get Mason Graham. I like the pick. Now, I'm looking at the Raiders. Could the Raiders potentially take Ashton Genty? I could actually see it happening. Like, I would not be shocked. I think Genty might be a trade target here at this number 6 spot. Maybe a team like the Bears trades up. I don't know. But I think that if you get Ashton Genty to the Raiders with what they have on defense, they have a nasty defense. I think you get into a spot where you can start controlling games a little bit. And you know what? I know there's a coach out there with the Las Vegas Raiders that likes a run game, that used to love his guy Marshawn Lynch back in the day, and he values running backs. Give me Ashton Genty with the Raiders to go pick 6. And now you got a team that's a little bit weird to play because they have a D-line that can control the game, a running back that can control the clock. I think it's a weird style of play that the Raiders could be lending themselves to have. And not to mention, they just got Geno Smith. I kind of like the Raiders as a dark horse this year, just saying. Okay, now let's talk about the Jets. The Jets need help, and they need offensive line help. If you watched any of their film, it was atrocious. I did not like it. Their offensive line was a big problem. And I think right now, pick 7, you don't take a Tyler Warren, who I think is a good player. I think you need to bolster up your O-line if you're going to give yourself a chance at all. Now, the question is, a lot of people are in between Will Campbell and Membao. I kind of like Membao. Let's look at their first look. 6'3", 314. Membao's got a longer range, and I think he can play both sides a little bit better. Will Campbell, I love his play. He's 6'6", 323. From my notes from before, I believe that he didn't have as long of an arm length as Membao, which in the league does matter. And I'm just going to be honest. If you cannot keep guys out, maybe you're better off as an interior lineman. So right now, I think that the Jets need help on the exterior, and I think the safer pick on the exterior is Membao. I think Will Campbell's a really good football player. I think he could move around between tackle, guard, whatever, kind of like a Joe Tooney in a little bit. But I'm actually going to have the Jets to take Membao. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Membao with pick 7. I think this is going to be a nice, solid, safe pick for them that they need. They need help on the offensive front. Now, let's talk about the Panthers. The Panthers, in my mind, need help on defense at edge. They need help on offense. Their receivers are not really great, but I don't love picking a receiver at this 8 spot. I think you'd be reaching for anybody on the board at this point in time. Now, where does this leave us? I think you've got to take best available. I think the Panthers can always do better up front with their O-line. I think maybe they could think about a guy like Tyler Warren here. I don't think it's a terrible pick. I think it's slightly a reach. I will tell you that if you're looking at edge, I'm looking at you, Mr. Green. I'm looking at you, and I don't think this is necessarily a reach at 8. I don't. I also think maybe on defense you go with the approach of getting a guy that's kind of well-rounded. I know that we're saying edge, wide receiver, DB needs for the Panthers, but man, there's something in me that's telling me that the best player available right now is Jalen Walker. And I think he is going to be an absolute problem. 6'2", 245, off the ball backer. I think with how offense is going to be played in the NFC South, I think you need a guy that can roam the box. He's also a good special teams player in his first year. The other part of him is he's extremely versatile. I think that top 10 pick, you can reach a little bit on a guy like Jalen Walker that's extremely versatile. I think he's going to be able to set the edge. I think he's going to be able to play off the ball. And I just think that with the way that the Panthers are structured, they just need the best player available. And I really like Jalen Walker's film. I think he's going to be a great grab for the Panthers at number 8 overall. Now, let's look at the Saints. Now, the Saints, in my opinion, they need some defensive help. Their defense has been pretty good in the past few years, but they've kind of fallen off a little bit. They've gotten rid of guys. I also think you're at this spot with pick 9 that there's some best player available type of vibes to be had. I do think that a guy like Tyler Warren with the Saints, it's really intriguing for me. I will say that. Extremely intriguing. I also really love Will Campbell here. This is going to be a pick your match. Do you want a potential playmaker with Tyler Warren? I think the Saints are lacking in the tight end department. I think that Taysom Hill is getting older. He's injury prone. I think that Tyler Warren could be a stud for a long time for them. There's also some names on this board that I really like. I love Will Johnson. I think he's a stud. We're getting into it. You know what we're going to do? We're going to take Tyler Warren here. We're going to take Tyler Warren with pick 9 to the Saints, and I think that he's going to be an upgraded in their tight end room, and they're going to be able to finally find guys to make explosive plays outside of Alvin Kamara and sometimes Olave. Give me Tyler Warren to the Saints. I think it's a good pick. Now the Bears. The Bears have beefed up a lot in this offseason cycle. And if you look at their offseason, they grabbed receiver Lamine Zaccheaus, they grabbed a center, DN, D-tackle Grady Jarrett, they grabbed Joe Tooney, Jonah Jackson, they got Travis Homer at running back, and they got Duvernay at receiver. So in my mind, could they use some receiver help? Maybe they still. I love Adunze this year. I think Adunze is going to have a massive year. I don't think it's time for them to take anybody there. You look at their DB room, pretty good, but I'm thinking maybe this is the time you take a swing. If you don't go Will Campbell here, I think this might be the time that you go with Malachi Starks. And I absolutely love Malachi Starks here. I think he's the best safety in the draft. I think he's ready to play. I think he'd be a great match for that secondary. I know they've had some injuries in the secondary. They're trying to, revamp things. I think he's a top 10 player. You look at how he moves, look at everything from how he played, his pre-draft process. I think Malachi Starks, let's go see his grade. 78 overall grade, not great. Played a bunch of snaps this year, 900 snaps. 62 tackles, kind of played all over the place too. Played some slot, played in the box, played deep. I think he's a guy that can come and play in the NFC North, and he's going to have to be in the box in the NFC North. It's just going to be what it is. You're going to play against the Lions. You're going to play against the Packers. To play against the Vikings, they're going to run the ball. I think Malachi Starks, when you look at him, 6'1", 205, that's the type of football player that belongs in the NFC North, in my opinion. And I think that he's going to be a problem when he goes there. So let's go get him. The Bears get a safety. Stop what you're doing. Sleeper is giving you $55 in free plays, and they're giving protected picks every single night, basically every single night. March Madness is upon us. Things are rolling. And I'm not going to lie to you. You can see I've been rolling with the protected picks. If they give me a protected pick, I'm taking it. If they give me a boost, I'm dabbling there too. And you guys can too. When you guys first time deposit using code Kurt, all you have to do is put $10 in the account, place one $5 entry. They will upload your account with $55 in free plays. Not to mention the $55 on top of all the free protected picks that they give every week. I'm going to be very honest. My account is growing. It feels very good. I'm not taking anything but protected picks and things with a boost, and it's been good. You can follow me and tail my picks in the group. I do a community group. You can see it's right down there. We got action. You guys can see everything that I'm getting into on Sleeper. It's been fun, and it's been a nice risk-free way to get in the game, get in the action, and have some fun. Not to mention, you can host your fantasy leagues there. I have my March Madness bracket there. We've got it all on Sleeper. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this video and for riding with us since we got into this media realm since leaving the NFL. It's been so sick to see. Thank you guys for all your support. Let's get back to the mock draft. Now, the 49ers. You need work and you need help up front. You lost some guys. This is an easy pick for me. I'm taking Will Campbell. He slid to you. You're going to take him. He can go inside, outside, but you're going to want him outside. I like Will Campbell here to the 49ers. Now, Dallas Cowboys. What are you doing? What is it looking like? I think we need to get into the best player available. I also think that the Cowboys could use an explosive playmaker on offense, but are you going to be reaching at this point? In my opinion, it sure looks like it. I think that the Cowboys did lose a DB. They did lose a DB. As much as the Cowboys need help on offense, I think this is where they go and take a really good player on defense. I think you go with Campbell here, and we're going to go give a little first look. 6'3", 244, height and length advantages. Height allows him to scan trenches in the backfield, long arms getting to passing lanes. I think that Campbell, he fits into multiple schemes. I like that he can play off the ball. I like that he can play on the ball. And versatile defenders might be nice to match him on the edge across from Micah Parsons, while also having the flexibility to play him in the box. But people are high on him. I'm high on him. If you watch his tape, dude flies around. I think this is a really good spot to take him here. And I think it fits in their defensive scheme. Give me Campbell, Cowboys. I think it's a great pick. Now, the Dolphins need help and they need it fast. Look, guard, tackle, defensive interior, corner. I think this is a really, really good spot to take a DB. We'll go look at some of the DBs available to match with Ramsey. I think Will Johnson is my favorite. I think Barron, some people are more high on Barron than they are on Johnson. You look at their first looks, 5'11", 200, 6'2", 202. I think Will Johnson is more my mold, but Barron might have a little bit more versatility in the slot, which they already have Jalen Ramsey. So that's something to think about here. Again, these teams don't know who's going to fall to them. So when we're doing these mock drafts, it's going to be very similar. Could you also go get an edge? One guy that I'm really high on right now is James Pierce Jr. I think he's a dog. 6'5", 243. Quick first step. I think that he's going to be a really good player. Now when we're looking at ADP, we've got some tackles. There's just a lot of needs across the board. Do they go DB? Do they go tackle? I think that's the question here. And in my mind, you've had a quarterback that's been on his back a lot. I think you go get help. And it's between Simmons and Kelvin Banks Jr. 6'5", 310. You know what Josh Simmons brings to the table. He's coming off an ACL tear in 2024, but good movement skills, worth a top 50 pick. I think think light question marks there with the injury, at least in year one. Kelvin Banks, 6'4", 320, NFL caliber athlete, movement skills. I think Banks goes before Simmons. I think that the Dolphins are going to take Kelvin Banks Jr. at the 13 spot. Let's get it. Now the Colts. The Colts. In my opinion, the Colts are in the QB market, even though they're not going to take one this year, but I think that they could be beneficial in the QB market. I think that, again, this draft is assuming some of these quarterbacks don't go. In my mind, this draft's going to go one of two ways. There's going to be 4 quarterbacks taken in the first round, or there might be 2. I think there's either going to be a run or there's not, and it's going to depend on what the Browns and the Giants do. If I'm them, I'm not taking Shador Sanders top 5. I'm not doing it. They might, who knows, but I picture it being more like this. Taking guys that can change things or add to value immediately. And I don't think Shador's that guy. And I also think that Jackson Dart's weird in the equation. Milrow's weird in the equation. We're going to know if there's a run. And if there's not, then it is what it is. Now let's talk about the Colts. They need O-line help. They need linebacker help. They need some safety help. When you look at their depth chart, they signed Charvarius Ward, who's a great signing. They have Jalen Jones. Like, their DB in the secondary is pretty good. I think they need a little bit of help up front, especially in the edge spots. And I really like Mike Green, to be honest. I think Mike Green is a good edge. I think that he's going to give people problems. I obviously really like James Pierce, but when you look at Mike Green, man, he jumps off the tape. I think Mike Green could be that Khalil Mack type of player. And I think at this spot, I think you take a little bit of a risk here. I think you go grab him. So I'm going to go Mike Green to the Colts. Now, Falcons, lucky you. You get a DB to fall to you. And you have your pick between Barron and Will Johnson. And in my mind, you know you have AJ Terrell on the other side. And I just think that the safer pick, and I might be wrong, but I think it's going to be Will Johnson. So I'm going to go with my gut here, and I'm going to take Will Johnson over Barron, but Barron's going to be off the board real soon. And then the run starts. The Cardinals, I think you're going to take Barron. Let's go look at him. Cardinals with Budda Baker have versatile guys. Give you one more versatile guy. I think Barron's going to go to the Cardinals. I think this is a really good pick. And now they're going to start getting those pieces on defense to potentially make a little run at the NFC West while the 49ers are down and the Seahawks are in perennial rebuild. I believe that's the way you say it. Give me Barron to the Cardinals. Now, the Bengals. You've got to start taking advantage of what you have already locked up. And I think one thing you need to do is you need to draft a defensive end because you don't know what's going to happen with Hendrickson. And you're going to have your pick here between Pierce, EZ, which is what I'm going to call him. And that's kind of where things are for me. Maybe Williams. I do like Williams a lot. It's a weird... I do like Williams. I really like Pierce, but I think you're in the AFC North, big dog. I think you got to go with the safer pick. I think size-wise, Williams is going to be the safer pick. I think Williams, luckily enough, fell to the Bengals, and that's who they're going to pick. Now, Seahawks, you need some juice. You need a lot of juice. You need some juice, and I think this is where center, guard, edge, your D-line was pretty solid last year in the interior until late. And I think maybe this is where you take a guy like Kenneth Grant, who I really like here. I don't think you can go wrong here. Let's go look at their depth chart for their interior. You got Cameron Ward, you got Reed, got Leonard Williams. You really do need more edge help. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go take James Pierce Jr. at edge. I think it's just, I like Stewart too, though. We're going to go Pierce. You're in a 3-4 defense. We're going to go take Pierce. Now, the Bucks, hear me out. This is where you get lucky on defense that you're going to get a guy like Shamar Stewart to fall to you, and he's going to be a good player in your scheme. You need edge help. Shamar Stewart's going to be that guy. I think he fits what you're trying to do, and you're going to value that. Now, the Broncos. Ooh, the Broncos, and boy, do I love this. The Broncos are going to get a receiver, and you're going to pick what you want here. You can get Golden, if you'd like, flyer, absolute flyer. You do have speed, though, already, but maybe you like a little gadget player. And this is where I think that people are going to get a little bit, whoa. Have you guys watched Luther Burden play? I think Luther Burden is one of the more exciting receivers in this draft. I know that they have Cortland Sutton. I know they got some other guys that have been balling out, but man, Luther Burden, I really like. I do like Golden. I think this is going to be, who does Sean Payton want? Who does Bo Nix want? I don't think you can go wrong with either. 6 foot, 195, liar. Also, really good hands, like solid receiver, but lightning in a bottle. Luther Burden, I just think in a Sean Payton offense, I would love to see Luther Burden play some ball. Let's look at some of the other receivers available. Like Buka, I think is a solid guy, but they already have a solid guy like that. I think they need more juice. I think let's go Luther Burden. I'm going to go Luther Burden. Can't go wrong if you were to take Golden, but I think Burden's going to be the guy. It is what it is. Now the Steelers need a quarterback, need a running back, need a potential safety, some tackle help, but also maybe you could take Simmons here. This is where the board gets weird now. I like Zabel a lot. I'm saying that right? Man, this is where it gets weird. Or could they get the guy that I think is the perfect fit for them? I think that Jackson Dart or Milrow is going to end up a Steeler. I just don't know when. I don't know if I'm the Steelers at 21, am I going to take the guy? I know Shador is still here. I don't think they'll take Shador. I don't have Shador as a first round player. Even though I know other people are might, whatever, I just don't think he's a first round quarterback. So we're going to go with our gut here. We're going to go Simmons. We're going to go Simmons. I think the Steelers are going to take a tackle. I think they're going to beef up their O-line and they're going to keep swinging. We're going to go Simmons to the Steelers. And I think people are going to be upset about it. Oh, I should have taken your quarterback. I don't think so. I don't think in the first round. I think if they get Jalen Milroe in the second or third round, I'd love it. Potentially Jackson Dart here at number 1. Pick 121. Potentially. But I don't know. We'll see. Now we're back to the Chargers. Wide receiver, tight end, D-line. Kenneth Grant. You're staring at him. I'm staring at him. Kenneth Grant, Michigan man, going back to Harbaugh. Come on. Easy peasy. Now the Packers. What are you going to do? Are you finally going to draft a receiver in the first round? Are you going to take Golden, who has finally fallen to you? You should. Take a receiver in the first round. I think Golden would be perfect for you. I think Jordan Love would love him, and that's what we're going to go with. Now, can we get the Vikings? Some weird holes. Signed Aaron Jones. D-line's a little DB's Let's pull up their depth chart. I think. I like Walter Nolan. We're getting into some solid players right now. We are getting into some solid players right now. I could see the Vikings getting some help at D-line. He's just gifted. Natural power, incredibly strong upper body, throwing off guys. If you're going to be playing in the NFC North, you need guys on the interior that can play some ball. I think Walter Nolan has showed that he can do that in a strong way. He can hold his own. I think he fits a need, and I think he's a good spot for the Vikings. Let's go. Now, the Texans, man. You need to protect your guy. And one of the guys that I really like at this spot, I like Zabel, North Dakota State. Dog. 6'6", 305, 5-position O-lineman, 90 grade last year. Again, he played lesser opponents and all, but I just think when you watch him move, he should have been a big-time D1 player. I think he's a good pick here. Other analysts are high on him as well. I think it's a great pick for the Texans and a good spot for him to go. All right. The Rams. The Rams are set at receiver. I like their D-line. Could use some secondary help for sure. I think this is where a guy like Maxwell Hairston could possibly sneak up into this spot. Like, he didn't grade out great last year, but I think he's going to fit in a defense where he doesn't have to be a guy. Likes to get his hands on guys and bump and run coverage from off technique. Heavy zone cornerback. I think that with this defense and how they get pressure, I think a guy like him could really thrive. Like, I didn't hate his tape. I also think that Revel, if he didn't tear his, I believe it was his ACL. ACL. I think he's a better player. 6'3", 193, a little on the slimmer side, but I love how he plays. I think kind of pick your guy here. We also have Amos from Ole Miss, but I think they need to go DB at this spot. I mean, you could potentially go linebacker, but I wouldn't be shocked to see the Rams take Hairston here. That's kind of where I'm at. Now, Ravens. What are you going to do? You going to take an edge? I think you are. I think EZ, look, graded out really well. A lot of sacks this year. He's a little bit on the lighter side, but I think you need a little bit of juice on the edge. And I think you're willing to take the risk on the lighter side. He slid to you. Look, average draft position 22. Get him at 27. One of your needs. I think this makes sense. Also, BC guy, plays in the Northeast. I like the fit. Now the Lions. I know it says you need a receiver or whatever, but I don't think so. I think what you need is help on defense. And I think you need to pair a guy on the edge, if you can, if it makes sense to not reach too much, with Aiden Hutchinson. I also think your interior could use a little bit of help. You got Reeder, you got McNeil, but I'm not going to lie, I really, really love Harmon here. 6'5", 310, high football IQ, consistent competitiveness, NFL level quickness, effective 3-tech on an even front. Like, when you watch the tape, he's a guy that's a problem. And I think even if he's not a problem, he's a guy that takes pressure away from Aiden Hutchinson and lets him cook a little more. I like Harmon here. I do like potentially taking an edge, but I like Harmon here. I think it's a good pick. I think he fits what the Lions do. When a really good D lineman is in front of you and you're pick 28, like, it's not like you have a whole lot of pickings here in the first round. I think you take Harmon, beef up the front. You're going to need it in the NFC North. All right, now Commanders. A lot of people are high on Amari and Hampton. I actually don't love him. I think he's fine, but I don't love him. When you're looking at the Commanders, you can't go wrong with the offensive line, but there's been a lot of offensive linemen taken in this mock draft. I also know that you could potentially use another receiver. You also need help on defense. Like, it's weird because you're trying to play to win your division first and then compete after. I think if we're looking at this, you might have to just go best player available. I think I know who they're going to take. The Commanders are going to get Worry. And if anybody can get him to be a good football player, it's going to be Dan Quinn. I actually love that pick there. Reminds me of a guy who was a freak back in the day, Keanu Neal. Worry's way more athletic than Keanu was, but fills the hole, comes down in the box, plays tough football. I think Worry's a way better athlete. I think the style of play and role needed is going to fit what Dan Quinn would like to do. I would love to see Dan Quinn get him and get to work with him. Now the Bills. This is where it gets interesting. What do? Do you grab a receiver? You have Keon Coleman. You just paid Khalil Shakir. Do you get an edge player? What do? Do you beef up the O-line? I don't think you spend any picks in the O-line. Your O-line was really good last year. Now, this is where the end of the first round gets weird. Now you're looking at which guy can I get that's worth a 5-year contract, in my opinion. It's first round picks get the 5-year contracts. I think this is where you take a guy. I think Revel, with his length, would be a really, really good pick here. You can look at the rest of the DBs. I think if he wasn't coming off an ACL, I think you'd be seeing him going higher. I like him a lot. I like him more than Amos, Thomas. I think they're taking Revel, dude. I think they're going to take Revel here. I don't think it's a bad pick. You could beef up the interior. Give me Revel. Give me Revel as a late first round pick. I think it's a good spot. And I think because he's on a 5-year contract being a rookie, you get some good value there. Now the Chiefs. Good God, do you need some help up front? But draft positioning wise, maybe you take best available. You do need help on the offensive line. You do need help on the D line. You can't just rely on Chris Jones for everything. What do? You've been known to take flashy picks late in the draft in the first round in the past few years. Pick your poison. Tyler Booker. Not a great grade. Let's just see what we're working with. Make sure we're not missing anybody. You know what? We're going to go with a D lineman that can cause havoc. Late bloomer. Create a little bit of chaos. Do we do it? Did we do it or did we go offense? Oh man, I want to click the button. But I'm also looking at you. I like Landon Jackson. You know what? We're going to go with Tyler Booker. We're going to go bank on the fact that Andy Reid can take an absolute freak specimen and make him into a really good football player. That's what we're going to do. And now last but not least, we have the Eagles, who their roster is as complete as it gets. So they get to have a little bit of fun here. They don't need a receiver in my mind. They don't need a running back. Maybe they take Loveland. Goddard in a potential trade situation. I would also not be shocked to see the Eagles trade out of this pick and have a team like the Steelers, maybe like the Giants, maybe trade up and get into the first round to grab a guy like Shador. I would not be shocked to see them trade this away. But if we're going to play the no trade game, you know what? No, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have the Eagles trade out of their pick. We're going to have the New York Giants trade up with the Eagles with pick 34, probably pick 65, maybe a second round pick next year. And it's only like 2 spots, but you get that 5th year contract. Pick 34, pick 65. We're going to go and say that the New York Giants are going to trade back up into the first round with the Eagles in the last pick of the first round to go and get their guy, Shador Sanders, with the last pick of the first round. And that is going to start the next run on quarterbacks coming up soon. And this is what I'm looking at with a quick recap of how this goes. Cam Ward 1, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, McMillan, Graham, Genty to the Raiders, Membao to the Jets, Walker, Warren, Starks, Campbell 2 to the Cowboys, Banks to the Dolphins, Green to the Colts, Will Johnson, Barron, Williams, Pierce, love Pierce, Stewart, good run, great spot fit. I love Burden as a gadget guy for the Broncos, Simmons to the Steelers, Grant to the Chargers, little reunion, Golden to the Packers, finally get their first round receiver, Nolan to beef up the Vikings interior, Zabel, don't know how to say it. Houston gets a good pick, beef up their O-line. Hairston to the Rams, EZ to the Ravens, Harmon, and Menwari, love him, Menwari, to the Commanders, to a guy like Dan Quinn that I know will get the most out of him. Revel tore his ACL. Prior to that, stud. I think this is a steal for the Bills, and they take him here because they get him on a 5-year contract on his rookie deal. Booker, nobody's going to get more out of him than Andy Reid. And last but not least, the Eagles trade with the Giants, and the Giants get their quarterback. I know it's a little interdivision trade. Wouldn't be shocked to see somebody trade for this 32nd pick with the Eagles. The Eagles get more out of it. Someone comes up and grabs a quarterback. That's what I have for you guys. If you enjoyed this, let me know it. Leave a comment. Also, let me know where I went wrong, where you would have done things differently. This is my first mock draft 1.0. We've got more to do, more to come, but that's the video. I'll catch you guys next time.